Hey y'all, welcome to Horrible Gaming. My name is Nora, and on today's video we are starting my new spooky castle island named Ravenwood. So this island is going to be a mixture of both natural areas and some structured locations. Today it's going to be a little bit different than my usual Animal Crossing island content. We usually start right at the entry, but today I am starting at the back of my map to ensure that I have plenty of space for the castle perspective that we are going to be building today. Anyways, to start off our castle perspective, we're going to be using a mixture of several different items. The plaza arch and the plaza clock are the main stable items you're going to need for this perspective, as it gives the illusion that there's a castle in the distance, but we're also going to be using the castle walls to kind of fill in gaps in between these. Now, time-wise for the perspective, as you can see, I'm building during the daytime, but this perspective looks best during the evening or really late nighttime. Since I'm doing a Halloween island, I preferred nighttime for the build, as it also enhanced all the spooky elements in my build, but it also brought out all the lanterns I'm going to be using on the transitional area too. Also, as we get started for today's video, I do want to give a huge shout out to cherie.crossing for inspiring my castle today. Thank you so much for all of your wonderful islands. We've actually toured Cherie's islands on my channel before, and if you want to go check out their castle, I will have that island tour linked in the video's description, as well as all of Cherie's socials. I think the hardest part about today's video was just trying to get this item placement right. I struggled majorly trying to make this look like an actual castle in the distance, and learned the hard way that you have to place these items a certain way to achieve the look that you're going for. I really enjoyed using castle walls in this build because it filled in any of the terraform that I didn't want to be seen, just in case if for some odd reason you could see said terraform, but it also hid any empty gaps in between the clocks and the plaza arches too. Another challenge was also spacing out the clocks and arches as needed, because if you have them all bunched together, it really doesn't look as realistic. So I learned that placing these, out into the open areas or like pulling them off to the side kind of gave the illusion of castle towers in the distance. So the bottom level of my castle actually took me a second to figure out. So we're just going to go ahead and transition to the layout that I finally decided on, and that was filling in the empty spaces in front of the perspective with castle walls. So the main castle structure is almost done. I'm going to go ahead and do any final adjustments or details around it, but I think my goal in front of this build is to do like some sort of waterscape and like a spooky forest transitional area. I went ahead and transitioned the footage and got one of our bridges placed, and so I think my plan is to do a really nice natural river that kind of connects over to some waterscape I was testing out in front of the castle. Originally, I was going to do a bunch of candles kind of lighting the river, but it became too much going on and kind of took away from the castle itself, so I think I'll just do that idea in a different part of my island. Instead, I went the more simple option, which was just using a bunch of greenery and the decayed trees to add to the gloominess of the build. This location on my map is also really close to the edge, so I don't know what we're gonna do on the right side, but I did consider adding a villager home over there, because eventually I actually did a really nice little overgrown well area, so I think that would be a cute spot to place maybe one of my villagers. Anyways, now that I got all the terraform done, it's time to start decorating all this landscape. I did get most of the transition finished in today's video, but of course I still have to do all the other locations around it. I did change my mind a few times on the decor in this area, so definitely expect some transitions. One thing I really struggled with was the decayed trees taking up so much space. I'm really used to games like Paleo right now that let me get really nice and close to items and just allow me to clutter. So decorating around this spooky tree and the decayed trees in today's build was a very big challenge for me. I went ahead and transitioned because, like I mentioned earlier, I struggled majorly with the decor in this location. I ended up doing the decor with a bunch of stunted trees and bushes. I just kept it really simple because I didn't want it to take away from the castle perspective. For this transitional spot, I think it's eventually going to lead up to a pumpkin field or maybe even a cemetery, so let me know in the comments section which one y'all think would look better for this location. And then on the other side of the bridge, that one is going to lead up to one of our villager homes. Before I get started on any more decorating, I am going to blend out this terraform real fast on the other side of the bridge and really close to the plaza. As you can see, we are like literally right next to the plaza, and as mentioned earlier, that is something I wasn't aware of, so if you are recreating this build, I would suggest definitely pushing this back a smidge, but I know I can make it work. I just wasn't expecting it to be so close to this building. Anyways, I'm going to finish detailing over here by this transitional spot, and then we'll start on the other transition, which will be a little well area that will eventually have one of my villager homes. I really want the well location to be overgrown and also slightly abandoned, so we're definitely going to be using a ton of like overgrown weeds and different vine items. I'm also going to extend this terraform out a little bit so we have plenty of room to decorate and transition around with. On the left side of the well near our bridge, I'm going to do almost like a half circle effect with the pathing, because on the right side, that's where my villager home is going to be. For my pathway, I'm actually using two different dirt paths that ended up blending really nicely together. So I'm going to start off with like a skinny path and then eventually extend it out and blend it so it looks really nice and natural. I don't want it to be like the same size in every single location. Otherwise, the pathway just doesn't look as realistic. So once I get my main layout planned, I'm going to go ahead and start blending out each side, just giving it a little bit more shape and dimension. Now that I've got all the pathway planned out and placed, it's time to start doing some more details around the well. I'm going to go ahead and add some candles around the well just to give it more of a witchy effect. Then we're going to go ahead and fill in with some more greenery around it just to make it a little bit more overgrown. I think the hardest thing about this location is how I'm going to transition below it, because we're really close to the plaza, so I might do some sort of an incline that helps us lead up to the perspective. But if y'all have any other ideas, definitely let me know in the comments section. I think the easiest option for this location is to maybe go with some more waterscape or terraform. I'm also really close to the peninsula, so maybe I could even go with the idea of like an abandoned boatyard. If y'all have any ideas for the peninsula, definitely let me know in the comments section. I don't really have a set plan for this island. All I know is I want a lot of natural areas, and I also want it to have kind of like a ghost town feel if I do decide to add like some sort of a town in the island. So with all this being said, going into this new island with no set plan or ideas will help me get a little bit more creative with the theme in general, and I'm sure we can come up with some really fun spooky ideas for it as well together as a community. Anyways, before today's video ends, we're going to do a final walkthrough of everything we got done in today's video. I hope y'all are excited to work on this island with me and it brings you some Animal Crossing inspiration. Before today's video ends, I do want to give a huge thank you to all of my channel members. Thank you so much for supporting me as a creator. Just your support in general means the world to me. With that being said, thank you so very much for watching and have a horrible day.